Gopala Astrology channel, where the science meets astrology for common man's understanding. Subscribe and stay tuned to this channel for continued astrological updates. Hello, welcome to Gopala Astrology channel. Today it's going to be another interesting video in Vedic astrology, and it's about yogas. I have spoken a lot about yogas, but today it's going to be a very specific topic about Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga. So what exactly is this Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga and how is it effective in everybody's horoscope? I'm talking about sidereal Indian system of horoscope. Okay, so we are going to analyze some of the examples of celebrities worldwide, and then we will understand how this individual Pancha Mahapurusha yogas are going to work out. Please stick out to this video, and you can always watch out what is the yoga that is there in your horoscope chart individually, or if you don't have any chart of your own, I'm going to give the link of Jagannatha Hora software. You can just download it. It's free of cost, and you can do this analysis on your own. I'm here to give you knowledge, and you can always work out on it. If you have questions, please feel free to come back to me, and then we will work out individually as well. All right, let's go to the actual video. Today's topic is really interesting because it's going to talk about Pancha Mahapurusha. What is Pancha? Pancha is a Sanskrit word for five. Okay, so we are going to involve five non-luminous planets, namely the Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Only these five of them, and specifically for each of these Lagnas or ascendants in a specific place. When they are placed, it's going to form this type of a special yoga. Okay, so you can have any one of these five planets which are going to be exalted or in Mula Trikona or own house. Any of these three combinations, when it happens, it's very easy to find out Pancha Mahapurusha yogas in anybody's horoscope. You just need to know the basic information, which planet is ruling which zodiac sign, and which planet gets exalted in which particular zodiac sign, and also the Mula Trikona position. So I had given a lot of tabular columns in my previous video. You can always refer back, and then you can come back to this. Okay, so let's try to define technically what is Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga. So Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga is formed, as I told you, with the five non-luminous planets in their placement from the Lagna. It should be in any of these four, that is the first house, fourth house, seventh house, and 10th house. But the important condition is they should be either exalted, that is Uchasthana, or it should be in the own house, or it should be in Mula Trikona Rashi. So any of these combinations will lead you to what is known as Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga. So you can have many other Raja Yogas in the horoscope, like Lakshmi Yoga and so on, Raja Sambandha Yoga. And there are so many yogas that has been designed and defined by our sages. But once you have Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga, the person's quality and name and fame is going to be so high that he can be either one in 1,000, 1 in 10,000, 1 in a million, or 1 in a billion also. It's possible, depending on the strength of that particular planet, the Cheshta Bala, the Sthana Bala, and whatever balas, the Shad balas that we define for each of the planets. If it is very high, we say that the Pancha Mahapurusha can make people like Narendra Modi, for example, to be born, or it can be any famous celebrity or a famous a billionaire in the world can be born with such a Pancha Mahapurusha yoga. All right, so that's the reason that we need to study these yoga in detail and understand each one of them. All right, so let's start with what is known as Ruchaka Yoga. So the first one is related to planet Mars. So I've just put this positions. Planet Mars gets own house or Mula Trikona Rashi also as Aries or Mesha Rashi. So it's going to, the Cancer is wrong actually. It's going to be having its own house as Scorpio and Aries according to the classical astrology, but have placed Mars in these positions. The reason is, if imagine you are a Aries born person as an ascendant, If Mars is placed in any of these four positions, 1, 4, 7, 10, and we say that the Mars becomes a Yoga Karaka planet, and it's Ruchaka Yoga for it. So, in the same way, whenever we see the position of Mars in the fourth house for any other Lagna, for example, if you are born in Taurus Lagna, you just need to count one, two, three, four positions. And if Mars happens to be placed here, do you think it's a Ruchaka Yoga? It doesn't, because Mars, the condition is that the Mars has to be exalted or in its own house. That's the reason. So the position shown here for Cancer is really it's only the 10th house position, but not the exalted position. So let's try to understand a little bit more. What are the examples that we can see in practical life? So Shah Rukh Khan, who doesn't know Shah Rukh Khan? He is the Badshah of Bollywood movies, and he is born with Simha Lagna, or the Leo Ascendant. Okay, and Mars happens to be placed in his fourth house, and fourth house is an excellent position for this Ruchaka Yoga to be formed. The person is going to be highly independent, they will be very bold, and they are going to come out like a phoenix. Nobody knows who is Shah Rukh Khan in the very initial stage, but as he comes to a particular stage in his life, and he is going to take over from there. And Mars Mahadasha made Shah Rukh Khan a very famous celebrity in his homeland. Okay, and that's what is the position of Mars doing for him. Let's talk about Narendra Modi, one of the most benevolent Prime Minister of India. He is born in Scorpio Lagnam, and Mars happens to be right there in the first house. First Lord in the first house makes him to get this Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga as Ruchaka Yoga. So you can understand there are so many other yogas that is formed in his horoscope. Even the Hamsa Yoga is there. Hamsa Yoga is not formed because Jupiter is not exalted as per classical astrology, but as per Greenstone Logos concept, the Jupiter gets exalted even in Aquarius zodiac sign. That's why I personally call this as a Hamsa Yoga chart as well. Okay, so that's the point here, and whoever have this particular combination will be extremely bold. They can take independent decisions, especially when this type of combination happens, when Mars goes to the Lagna, and then it forms this particular Ruchaka Yoga, right? So that's why he is going to be an outstanding person, one in a billion, or something like that. So that's one of the qualifications for him to be so famous personality. All right, let's go to the next yoga. We call it as Badra Yoga. So again, the condition here is the Mercury has to be in its own house, Gemini, or in its Mula Trikona or exalted position, right? So in the Virgo, until 15 degrees, it is exaltation position, and then above that, it's considered as Mula Trikona Rashi of Mercury. So once it happens, these two houses as 1, 4, 7, 10 positions for any of the Lagnas, we say that Badra Yoga is formed, and it's the intelligence. The Mercury is all about the planet of intelligence, and the people who are born in this combination of Badra Yoga are going to be very intelligent. They will make use of their communication, and they will make use of their skill to talk to people and become very famous, and also make a lot of money out of that. None other than Bill Gates, the one of the world's richest person, has this Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga called Badra Yoga. So in this combination, he is born with the ascendant of. See, this is the horoscope chart that we have in the internet. I've just taken it and I'm explaining this. I do not know how accurate the time of birth it is, because some of them, they call him as Cancer ascendant person also. I'm not going into the dispute of that particular concept here, but I want you guys to understand. Imagine the person of this caliber is born with Gemini ascendant. He has got Mercury, the Lagna Lord, in the fourth house, and it's in its Mula Trikona Rashi, right? So this is what made Bill Gates, because he made maximum use of this Mercury, the planet of communication, right? So this is what made him so rich, and intelligent. And I've given another example. I don't know how many of you guys heard about him. He was the ex Prime Minister of India, one of the very successful Congress Prime Minister that India has seen. Okay, so this combination made him. For example, he's born in Virgo Ascendant, and he has got the placement of Mercury right there in its own house. So 10th Lord in the 10th house is extremely powerful, because it's going to give him the maximum intelligence in terms of communication to the masses, and it becomes his work. And we believe that P.V. Narasimha Rao was able to communicate in more than 10 or 15 languages. I do not know exactly. I heard that he was communicating in at least 10 languages. All right. So, and he's the one who he introduced the concept of globalization in India in 1990s, in the early 1990s, and that's what transformed India. And a lot of multinational companies could go there, and he had that business sense as a senior politician in Congress government. Okay? And that's one of the reason why he is there. Badra Yoga is very clearly present in his horoscope. Okay, that's why I picked this example. Let's go to the next one, called Hamsa Yoga. Hamsa Yoga is formed by Jupiter, the most benevolent of all the planets, right? So Jupiter gets its exaltation position in Cancer, the zodiac sign of Rashi, and Mula Trikona position of Sagittarius, or it's also own house. And Pisces is also considered as own house in classical Indian astrology. And any of these placements, if Jupiter is found and it happens to be the 1, 4, 7, 10 positions from Lagna, right? The Kendra sthanas from Lagna, then we can say that yes, Jupiter is going to form Hamsa Yoga, right? So it's very, very simple. Exaltation or own house or Mula Trikona. Whenever the planet is placed in 1, 4, 7, 10 in that condition, if both the conditions are satisfied, you will get people like Dr. Abdul Kalam, ex-president of India, one of the most lovable person that India has seen as a president. He was a scientist, and he was the best president who did a lot of great works in his tenure, right? So what made him to be so benevolent, so nice, and so down-to-earth person was the planet Jupiter. It was exalted in his own Lagna. He was born in Karkataka Lagna, and that made him knowledgeable, very knowledgeable person. See, always please understand the quality of Jupiter. People who are born with this type of Hamsa Yoga, they'll be always surrounded with books. They are having always the quest, they are hungry for knowledge. So they always surround themselves with books and a lot of literatures around them, and then they publish a lot of papers, and then their purpose or the mission of their life is to spread the knowledge among people. All right. So Hamsa Yoga also makes people rich. The way in his case, he was very rich in terms of knowledge, right? And there are other combination which made him like sannyasi and things like that. But he was an outstanding individual. All right. The same way, we can even apply this example to sports. People who work in sports, Rahul Dravid, for example, people who know him as one of the best cricketers that India has seen, he has got also Hamsa Yoga in the 10th house, right? He is born in the ascendant sign of Meena Rashi, and Sagittarius is the 10th house, and Jupiter goes 10th Lord in the 10th house, right? So this is an excellent combination to have a lot of patience in the game, and go in deep, and understand every walks of the game. And he now, after his retirement, even he has become coach, and now getting into the next level in Indian cricket team. All right, so that's the Hamsa Yoga which made him to come to this level. Let's go to the next one. It is Malavya Yoga. It is caused by Venus, the planet Shukra. So whenever the planet Venus is in Taurus or Libra or Pisces, so this combination is possible. So whenever this position happens to become 1, 4, 7, 10 positions from your Lagna, you will have Malavya Yoga. So Malavya Yoga is extremely good because the people become very famous celebrities. The Venus is going to make them very popular amongst the masses. See, for example, David Beckham, who doesn't know him, right? So he has the Taurus ascendant, and Venus goes to the ascendant position. So in this position, it's forming a very powerful yoga, and that's why he's very individualistic. He became a world famous footballer, and during his tenure, he won the tournaments many times for his country, England. All right. So the main reason could be one of the main reasons for his horoscope could be the Malavya Yoga. All right. And I have chosen one of the negative characters that the world has seen in the form of Osama bin Laden. Okay. He was born on the 13th of May. You can see the number 13, 1 plus 3, 4, right? Rahu is there. And this man also has the Malavya Yoga. Look at his ascendant. He is born in Scorpio ascendant with Saturn there, right there in the Lagnam, right? So his brain works in a very different way. And then you must understand that Venus is the lord of seventh house, placed in the seventh house. So this forms a Malavya Yoga. So he might be very good with his wife, for example, with his partners, whoever worked in his field. He must have been very benevolent. See, the yoga is still there, whether you are a president of United States or you are the most wanted terrorist in the world. It doesn't matter. The planets are still there, and it does its job in its particular specific area. So he might have become a famous terrorist because of 12th house Rahu and so many other negative factors. Pluto, it's exalted Pluto. I have been talking about the Pluto in Leo, and there are different avatars of Pluto. It's called the first one is called the eagle avatar of Pluto, that makes people very famous and unique. And there is something called gray lizard Pluto, which is like the people who gets into a lot of trouble, right? So there, Osama bin Laden happens to be belonging to that gray lizard type of Pluto. And then the third category of thing is not applicable to him anyway. But please understand, the Venus in the seventh house has got Malavya Yoga for even person like Osama bin Laden. All right, so that's it. So the planets always do its own work in its own way, but we need to see the overall horoscope in a bigger perspective. Then only we can judge the person. Okay, imagine I give this horoscope to somebody and then I remove the name Osama bin Laden and I ask for an ordinary astrologer to start analyzing this chart. So he or she may not recognize that he is a terrorist because they will always see this particular yoga that is being formed, right? So that's the thing. We need to have in-depth knowledge of different combinations and permutations in the horoscope. Let's go to the next category. It is called Shasha Yoga. So this is also a Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga that is formed by planet Saturn, or sorry, our Shani. So what is happening with Shasha Yoga? So Saturn gets exalted in Libra or Tula Rashi, and its own sign is Capricorn, and Mula Trikona Rashi is Aquarius. So if any of these happens to be your 1, 4, 7 positions from your Lagna, please check out your horoscope. You will come under what is known as Shasha Yoga. Shasha Yoga is going to make you is going to make you famous personality, as long as there is a very nice placement of Saturn, especially if it is in the fourth house and seventh house. Saturn does really well. Okay, so that's the one which make people very famous politicians. Nowadays, politicians comes into this category. Why? Because they have to work with masses. So you're a boss and you have so many subordinates, like 5,000 people work for you. You can be a multinational company CEO and you may have Shasha Yoga also. So I have picked up the example of M. Karunanidhi, who was the ex-chief minister of the state of Tamil Nadu in India. So he was born in Cancer ascendant, and then if you count from here, it is 1, 4, one, two, three, four, fourth house, Saturn. And this Saturn is exalted in Libra. And of course, it's bracket Saturn. That means it must be a retrograde Saturn. He must have seen a lot of success in his second part of the life. But certainly, the Shasha Yoga has made him the chief minister, and he had lot of long political career in his tenure. Okay, so Shasha Yoga can give slow and steady results for long term. So Saturn, whatever he gives, he's going to give you things for long term benefits. Please understand that, okay? And then his progress will become very fast once that particular dasha and antardasha comes. Please understand, everybody has these yogas, but imagine if a person like Karunanidhi, he did not get into Saturn Mahadasha at all, he would have never become so famous. Okay, so that's what it is. The planet has to give its results only in that particular time frame for which it is allocated. And many a times, of course, under Mahadashas, you have Antardashas and Pratyantara Dashas. So the results can come, but it's nothing like it. You have a Mahadasha of the planet in which you have got Pancha Mahapurusha Yoga. That is the one which makes an ordinary person to become an extraordinary person in the crowd. All right. So one more example. Let's see the example of a famous Hollywood celebrity, Brad Pitt. So he was born with Capricorn ascendant, with the Lagna Lord Saturn placed in its own house. So this is the one which made him quite famous personality, because sitting in the first house, Saturn aspects the fourth house of Mars. Right, so that's where it is. And then you can also see that the seventh Lord, Moon, also comes and sits in his Lagna with Venus. So this is what the combination that made him famous, very famous personality in terms of Bollywood, as a Bollywood celebrity. Of course, he had his own share of problems in relationships and all that, because Saturn always is a separative tendency planet. But he got his name and fame during the Mahadashas and Antardashas of Lord Saturn. Okay, so he's blessed in that time. All right, so with that, we have come to the end of this video. If you have any questions, please write it in the comment section. I will be very glad to reply. And then please subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon so that you will get connected with me. As and when I put the videos, you will get it on your YouTube screens. All right. Thank you very much. Bye bye.